Feathering the light. When you first start working in the studio, the logical thing would be to think that you point the modifier directly at the subject's face. So the center is pointed right at their face. But in fact, if you look at most of my lighting setups, a lot of times my main light is at an angle, and I'm actually using this to better control my light. So when you change that angle of the light side to side or up and down, that's something called feathering. You're using the edge of the light instead of the center. There are many different reasons you might feather the light. You could do this so you could change the light hitting the background, or the light illuminating your subject head to toe, or blocking some off the floor, or make the light more even. And so I want to demonstrate for you the most common ways and the most common reasons I feather my main light. This works with umbrellas, this works with soft boxes, and if you take a look behind the scenes of my real shoots, I do this for pretty much every shoot I ever do. So right now, I have the center of the light pointed directly at my subject's face. And you can see by looking at the modeling light that the light is also hitting the background. So I'm going to take a shot of this and then show you how I might feather. All right, perfect, just like that. So you can see some of the light hits the background. It's not too bright, but watch what happens. Let's say that I want that background to go really dark. What I can do is I can change the angle of the light so that it still hits my subject. But in this case, it's not going to be the center of the light hitting my subject, it's actually going to be the back edge. What's nice about it is the edge of the light is actually more even. A little bit less dramatic fall off of light, because in the center of the light, there's something called a hot spot. It's going to be a little bit brighter, and it's going to create a little bit more contrast to your image. So when you use the edge of the light, it'll be a little less contrast, a little bit more even. So for example, you saw this shot. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the back edge of the light. So she's still being illuminated, but I'm changing the angle of the softbox to the side. And now, take a look at the background. So when I compared these two shots, there are very similar lighting patterns on her face. Both of them are loop lighting patterns, but in one, the background's being hit by the main light, and in the other, the background falls to dark shadow. I do this all the time. Sometimes I want to separate the zones of my lighting. I don't want the main light to hit the background, because maybe then I'll block it off and I'll add a grid so there's a little bit of a glow behind her. Or maybe I want to create a little bit more drama. And in fact, I think most of the time when you feather the light, it makes it look as though you have a little bit more control. You're choosing where the light falls instead of just letting it fall where it may. So you can actually see it when you're using the modeling light. That's what I'm looking for. No light on the background, lots of light on the background. So of course, you can use this the opposite way. Maybe you actually only have one light and you do want some light to hit your subject as well as the background. In that case, you can feather and use the front edge of the light to hit your subject. So she's still being illuminated, and then a lot of that light is being kicked towards the background. So I'm using feathering either to block it or to add light. So you can see it completely changes what the background looks like. But that's just feathering from side to side and basically focusing only on the background, but I can also feather up and down. So I'm gonna take another full length shot of her. Let me kind of put this more centered. So you can see here that when I do this, I have a slightly more downward angle of this softbox. And you can see that I'm lighting her from head to toe. And so I have a lot of light on the ground. There may be a reason you want to do that. Maybe you want a little bit more even light head to toe. Maybe you're doing a group shot and there's some people standing, some people sitting. So you want more even light up and down. I'm gonna take a shot, show you what that looks like, and then show you a way to feather the light to change that. Okay, so certainly, especially because of the distance of the light, because it's so close to her, her face is brighter than her feet, but there's definitely still some light hitting the bottom of the frame. In this example, I'm using a 3x4 foot softbox. So this is going to give me a couple different ways to feather the light. The first thing that I can do to block it off the feet is I can change the angle of the light upward. And so the light is going to be headed that direction and miss the feed. But another thing I can do, because it's a rectangular softbox, is I can rotate it. So in this example, I can rotate the softbox and then angle it upwards, cutting light off the feet, so it is primarily on her face and shoulders. So now, same full length shot, but you'll see the difference in the light. So the result is drastically different. When you look at the two of these, in the first shot, there's a lot of light hitting the floor and her legs. In the second shot, most of it is concentrated on her face. And then of course, in this example, I'm using a 3x4 foot softbox. So I could actually rotate it to the side if I wanted to, so that there's less light pointed downwards. It's more of a horizontal. And then I can combine everything. So in this example, I feathered upwards for less light on the ground, and then I could feather to the back and side for less light on the background. So it gives me as much control as possible. The background will be darker and her feet will be darker. And so now in this shot, the feet are dark and the background is dark. It's not right or wrong, it's just the fact that generally you think with a modifier that you point the light at the center of the face, but you're losing a lot of the ability and a lot of the control you can take over the light by doing so. So remember, you can change the feather of the light side to side so that you can block light off the background or put more light on the background. And you can also change the feather up and down so you can get a more even spread head to toe, or you can block the light off the ground and concentrate it more on the face. The question is, where do you want the light? And then you take the control to put it there.